fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car. I brought mine. Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Interviews. So far, I've interviewed Skywalker the Jedi, Leon of the New Geeks, and the Good Austin. But as you know, the Cool Table has 4 members on. And I recently had this guy to talk some Dawn of the Dead, which we will revisit this conversation a little bit as well. And I'm really excited to have this guy on again, just to get to know more about him, know about his passion for DC, but also some of his musical interests as well, we'll say for now. So please welcome, as I bring on the Lord of Darkness, El Necron. How are you, man?
What's going on, Bat Dan? How are you tonight, dude?
I'm feeling great. I mean, as good as I can for a Monday anyways, but...
Yeah, that's a good attitude. Good as you can for a Monday. What's up, chat? What's up, Kingdom of Nerds? Greek Defense Initiative? Geek.
What up, guys? Thanks for... Oh, yeah, it's Geek, not Greek. Yep.
Yeah, that was my bad eyesight here.
It's been a long day for a lot of us, and there we go.
Integrity with the message.
Yep, and we'll definitely be talking some SellSJLToNetflix tonight as well. Definitely a lot of that coming on. So how are you feeling? Ready to learn more? Talk about yourself? Ready to
I'm
talk about your
what you got in store for me over here? It's weird for me to be the one getting interviewed because usually I'm doing the interviewing. So let's put me in the hot seat. Let's see what happens.
Sounds good. So
hey,
I want to
what's
cover
up,
this.
Comos? That's my record label guy. What's up, Aaron? Go.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I posted it on my social media. Maybe get some traction.
Yep, sounds good. So, as you may know, for those of you who saw our Dawn of the Dead review, I said that we were going to review the extended cut of Dawn of the Dead. And it turned out to only be 9 minutes longer, so it did not warrant its own topic. But
yeah,
unlike Warner Brothers, we on this channel, if I say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. So I'll kind of ask this in kind of an interview format, and then I'll give my brief thoughts as well. But overall, what were your thoughts of the extended edition of Dawn of the Dead, and how much did it really impact the overall film, in your opinion?
Well, I think, you just got some gorier scenes in the film, that you didn't get in the R-rated cut. Maybe some of it wasn't like cut so fast so you saw the whole carnage of the, the bloody action or no total head explosions and things like that. But for me, I didn't really see much of a difference in the impact of the whole movie's, the story or any major things that was brought to light that wasn't in the director's cut. Maybe I missed it, but for me, it was almost the same film. It just had some more extended action scenes, and maybe a couple scenes lasted a little longer. Still an awesome movie, regardless, but, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Zack Snyder's Justice League, version of, Justice League. It's not that big of a change of the film or anything. That's my call. It happened.
I can agree with you. I agree with you, honestly, though, because for me, there was a shower scene I don't recall seeing in the original version, and
that was at the beginning of the movie, right?
yes.
Okay.
Anna and and her boyfriend. That
Yeah.
one was there.
Okay. I kind of was that new? You mean you both got that?
There was an animated opening, a little bit like a animated skull. I don't think we saw in the theatrical version, and them getting into the mall. I don't think we saw. Those are the main differences that I noticed. Oh, and that one scene where the one guy was to the locked up security guards confessing that he was gay. I don't think that was in the.
Oh no, that wasn't in there. Yeah.
So some interesting stuff, but nothing that overall was like a shame that it was cut out of the theatrical version. But I'm not going to complain about seeing additional scenes ever for a Zack Snyder movie.
Exactly. I mean, it's still cool to see the extra gore. I was like, all right, that's cool. A little gorier, but whatever. Still good. It's a good watch regardless. I wasn't like bored or anything because, I just literally watched it not too long ago for our review. So I was still like watching it. You know what I mean? Like where it wasn't going to be like, I just saw this, it kind of, but still enjoyable.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with the Zack Snyder movie, though. Seeing it again, though, you pick on stuff you didn't pick up on before, like when Steve was telling Anna, if I turn into a zombie, you have permission to shoot me in the face. And, you're watching this first time, it just kind of rolls over your head. But the second time, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So...
Well, mate, there was a reason why it was cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, viewers, this is the payoff. This is the Dawn of the Dead extended cut review. Nothing really added, but wanted to get this covered while I had El Necron on. So
all right, yeah.
Now on to the actual interview.
All right, let's do this.
So I guess how long have you been a DC fan for?
Oh, since a little kid. I grew up in the 70s as a little kid, so like my cartoons were like Super Friends right off the bat. That's one of the earliest ones I remember. Then the Filmation Batman. I liked all that stuff. Of course, I liked like Speed Buggy and Land of the Lost and all that other stuff that came on. But the Super Friends kind of started it for me because I was maybe what was that? Maybe about 4 or 5 years old, and Superman and Batman were my two favorites, right, from the show. And then I, as you go along, you start realizing, oh, these are in comics. So, you ask your mom to buy the comics, get the comics, you get the Mego figures of them back then and all that, and you get the little Justice League play set and the Batmobile, and I was a big Super Friends fan that got me basically started in the DC. So that was like my intro into DC. Now I know that cartoon's silly as hell nowadays, but a 4 or 5 year old kid, it's a fun cartoon. So, but then I started getting older and reading the actual comics, and I my friend older brother had like all the Batman Neil Adams stuff, and he would let me read them when I go to his house. I'd say, hey, let me read that. So I got the more mature version of Batman. I would say maybe around like 9 or 10, I started reading those Neil Adams ones and all that, and I was like, this is cool. I like this, because it was like, I don't know if you ever read those, but those were like detective noir kind of like stories back then, really cool shit. And how my comic collection isn't that big anymore, Aaron, because I back when comics weren't hot, I made a terrible mistake, and I traded one of my most of my collection for a very expensive guitar. So, yeah, I wish I hadn't done that, but that's what I did. So my collection is like 10% of what it used to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I used to have boxes and like stuff going back to the 70s. Good Batman runs, good Marvel horror runs, all this stuff. I'm like, why did I do that? But the guitar, it was awesome and it did its job. So can't regret, just move forward.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing with comic books. The reason why comic books old comic books are so valuable now is because because a lot of people had the same mindset as you. They just sold them. The reason why comic books won't become valuable now is because now people don't have that mindset to throw them away or get rid of them or sell them. People are holding on to them. But the problem with that, though, is that with everyone doing that, what made them so valuable
It's
is not.
gone. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Everybody knows to keep their comic. Is the death of Superman worth anything now? It's still worth money, but it's never going to be worth big money like the It's like those Golden Age and Silver Age is where it's at for money with comics. That's like 40s, 50s, and 60s, and maybe some early 70s. Like what Bat Dan just said, people weren't thinking these things were going to be worth money or collectible back then. They were usually just thrown away or given away, or most of the time just thrown away after a while. People got rid of them. And then I think it seemed like in the mid 70s up, that's when the comic collecting started becoming more like an ideal to keep your comics. Especially when the early 80s came, everybody was keeping their comics. But prior to that, I think most people threw them away, or they got beat to hell. No one thought of keeping them in good shape or anything, right? You just threw them in a pile and everybody read them and tossed them to their friends, and they read them and they tossed them,
That too. That's why I try to keep my comics now in like those plastic thingies with the cardboard and.
Yeah, the comic protectors. Yep.
But yeah, it's really interesting. Legion or Super Friends, because that's where the Legion of Doom came from. From my understanding, like that's where they were introduced. Was
you had to have
Super Friends.
You had to have a group that opposed the Super Friends, so the Legion of Doom. I watch those sometimes, on demand, and I just crack up because they're so they're so bad, But they were fun for me as a kid. But that's what introduced me into the world of DC.
But hey, they were good for their time. At the time, that was kind of the standard for stuff, and you got to respect the times. And okay, are you saying that that Zack Snyder directed an episode of Super Friends?
I think he's saying there's an episode of Super Friends that's making a JL movie, and his name is Mr. Snyder. Is that what you're saying? That happened in the show? It's one or the other.
Oh, you'll have to clarify that one, Geek Defense Initiative. So.
But what's funny is I'm sorry, just one more thing. My brother was the Marvel guy. I was the DC guy, and he was the Marvel guy. He was like 5 years older than me, so he was hard into like the X-Men, Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, and all that. But the thing where I got him, that's fucking great. The thing that I got him on Marvel was I was the Marvel horror comic guy. I had all the Werewolf by Nights and Tomb of Dracula and Mummy and all that stuff, and he wasn't so much into that. So just weird, makes sense for me, to be the horror comic guy. And my brother was like, eh. Oh, and he loved Daredevil too.
I love that though. It just sounds so funny, like just having like two opposite ends of the spectrum. It's like having a liberal and a conservative brother, not getting to which one's right or wrong, but just that same principle. I love
yeah,
it.
And we didn't even have any type of competitiveness in it. It was just like it was what it was. You know what I mean? Like, because he would read mine and I would read his either way, but he would buy the Marvel ones and I would buy the DC ones. I'd be buying Detective and Batman, Superman. He would be buying, Daredevil, X-Men, all that stuff. That was his thing. But one of the greatest ones that we really got excited for him was what was it? The Teen Titans versus the Avengers. Remember that one? Or the X-Men. Was the X-Men, I think. That was like one of the early ones that came out in the early 80s. Oh shit, Leon. What's up, Leon? Good to see you.
Oh, damn, you're right. So,
yeah,
sorry,
Leon
Googling
an appearance. Yeah. They had done crossovers prior to that, but that was like a big one for the 80s.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Keep talking. Since you mentioned DC Marvel crossover, I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, so and before then they had Hulk and Batman, and then they had Superman, Spider-Man. I had gotten my tonsils removed, and my parents, I was like a little kid, you know. My parents came in, and I remember those big $1 giant size, freaking giant version of comic books. They came in with the freaking that one, yes. They came in with that one, and I was like, yow! Yep, that one too. I think I got the Hulk versus Batman later on. Superman and Spider-Man is a porn parody. Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. Okay, so I'm curious then. So now that your brother's a Marvel fan, I have a question now. I guess what is his reaction to the Zack Snyder movies, to Man of Steel, BVS, and ZSJL?
Well, unfortunately, my brother is passed, but
sorry to hear that.
He didn't get to see ZSJL, but he liked Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, and all that. He wasn't like a hardcore, because, you know, he's not like me. He didn't stay hardcore nerdy about all this stuff. You know, he went on and did his own things. But I remember we had conversations, and he enjoyed them. You know, he was into it.
Well, that's good that you have those memories with your brother. That's always great to cherish, because I mean, we'll talk about another friend of ours in this stream later on, and that's just the best way you honor your loved one. Just continuing talking about the stuff that you love doing with them. And I'm glad he liked BVS at least. I'm glad he.
Yeah, he wasn't one of those people that were like, oh, you know, what the hell? He was like, oh, that was pretty good. He just liked it, you know.
Good. I'm glad. Glad to hear that. So I guess then, so your introduction. What was your introduction to Zack Snyder?
Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, the one that we reviewed.
We might have talked about this prior, but I'll just go through it real quick. I used to be an avid Fangoria reader. So when I found out they were doing a Dawn of the Dead remake, of course I was skeptical. But then I started reading that this man's name was Snyder, and that is my official last name too. Snyder spelled the same way. So I was like, well, I'm going to root for him, you know? I'm going to... He has my last name. Maybe this will be good. Because remember, everybody was doing horror movie reboots, you know, and some of them were just, But Dawn of the Dead kicked my ass. You know, I thought it was a good take on zombie movies, different. And I still say he doesn't get the credit for starting the zombie craze that came. Dawn of the Dead laid the foundation for The Walking Dead and all that other stuff that came out. Zack Snyder doesn't get the credit for the zombie craze. He laid the blueprint. Again, the blueprint. So that's how I got into Zack Snyder. So I liked Dawn of the Dead. And then I think the next one I was interested in seeing was 300, because I knew about the comic, you know, read it, and then I was like, fuck, Zack's gonna do 300, you know. So then I was blown away from that. Watchmen, same thing. I don't think I saw everything that came out, but I saw Sucker Punch. I didn't see the Owl movie because it was, I don't know.
Guardians of the Pool.
Yeah.
I actually saw it yesterday. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll like it when I finally watch it. But I'm sure at the time I was just like thinking it's a kid's movie, so I just wasn't interested in all that. So, am I missing anything along the way? Because then when I think Man of Steel was announced with him, I was super excited because I already, you know, seen what he had done with 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, and all that stuff. I was like, oh, wow, he just didn't do the Superman movie. And pretty much sold, you know. Now, I didn't know, I was, you know, doing probably my band stuff was really taking a precedent in my life at this time, too. So I couldn't really do the hardcore cinephile like I was, like, maybe in the 90s. And very early 2000s where I can like just dissect movies because I was like practicing and playing shows and going on little road trips and all that all the time. So it was hard to be a cinephile, but I was still keeping up with it. And of course, BVS came out, loved it. I loved the theatrical version. I thought it blew me away. I ain't one of these people that say, "Oh well, it sucks," or no. I was like, oh man, we got Doomsday in it. We got that incredible warehouse scene, dude. Where that's how, like, the first time, like how a Batman comic in my eyes came to life and for an action sequence. The other ones had some cool ones, but that was just like mind blowing. And I just loved his portrayal of Batman Bruce Wayne because it was so Dark Knight Returns, which is my favorite Batman comic. I was just like, this is the Batman I love, and this dude has captured the essence of it.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns is a really great one. I love the Elseworld stories because I think that's why it works so well for Zack, is you can do a lot more without having consequences for the main timeline. You can do something like kill off the Joker, have Batman fake his death, Alfred die.
Yeah.
It's like, you may get some similarity.
It doesn't have to mess with the timeline of the normal universe. Is the Elseworld, it's different dimension, whatever you want to call it, it's off. So yeah, that was and see, and I was not aware of everything. Like when I went and saw Justice League, I didn't know about all the drama that had gone on, and I remember seeing it, and I wanted to like it. So even though I knew something was off, I still made myself like it because it had all these characters that I loved in it. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't gonna bash it. You know what I mean? Because I was like, these are my characters. This, and I love this prior movies, but I did think this wasn't as good as the Man of Steel and BVS in my eyes. Because I was, I'm sure you felt the same way too. You're like, something's off here. This is different.
Very similar, actually, to you. It's like, I'm seeing Justice League. I don't know the drama. I kind of in denial about how not great it was.
Exactly.
But
so I was, I was bamboozled, basically. I was tricked into liking it, even though really I didn't think it was that great, but I was not going to bash it because, it was DC and I wanted to champion it. And then when things started coming out, on the internet, and you started hearing about all this other stuff and, released the Snyder Cut movement, and you started hearing more what was going on, then you're like, well, no shit. No wonder this wasn't, Zack, what I thought it was going to be. It's not even Zack's movie.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
100% Joss Whedon.
Yeah, it was Joss Whedon's movie. And then it's funny to hear that Joss Whedon has come out and said, well, really not even my movie because I was just forced to finish something. Like, he wanted more time to make it better, and they didn't let him. So, in the total end of everything, you can totally blame Warner Brothers for it. It was their own fault for everything that went wrong with that movie.
Yep, that sounds like Warner Brothers. I mean,
hey,
I
Justin.
even agree.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Joss made a terrible movie, don't get me wrong, but even he was forced to make a movie. And I think that's why the tension was so high on the set of that film, because he had them guys breathing down his neck to get this movie made. And he was trying to get it done by the timeline they wanted him to have it done by. So it was just a bad situation that they created for everyone. And I'm not saying I support Joss Whedon and all that, but I do know that when, your bosses are breathing down your neck to make you do an impossible task, tensions get high for the whole work staff. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I say. There's a difference between understanding what someone was doing and agreeing with what someone was doing. And that's just what it is. We get that Joss Whedon was in a tough situation. Unfortunately, though, he didn't handle it right, and
no, he
consequences
did
were
handle
had.
it wrong. He should have backed his actors, and he shouldn't have been trying to make Gal Gadot feel weird. All that other stuff that happened. But yeah, so I was all in on the release of the Snyder Cut. I mean, I didn't know anyone or anything, but when they were hashtagging, I was hashtagging where I could. I was like, yeah, I want to see this real version. I want to see this ridiculous film that we got. And of course, when we finally, it got released, it's probably one of the best damn comic book movies ever. And probably, yeah, it's the best comic book team up movie, in my opinion. It surpasses, I don't think the Avengers has stood up to the test of time compared to Justice League. It's a little hokier now.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, to clarify.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And like, you watch the Avengers now, it's still cool, but it's already kind of showing that it's not going to be timeless, where I think ZSJL will be timeless. Oh, and animation for sure. They're animated.
We'll see about that.
Well, prior, not what they're doing now.
Yeah, prior definitely. Justice League the animated series.
Well, everything up to what they're doing now, even the prior universe that they just rebooted, now DC animations are like down to freaking coloring book quality art. It's really shameful. The stories aren't bad, but it's hard to watch with such bad animation. But yeah, DC animation prior was freaking top tier. It's like this company loves to shoot itself in the foot. It's unbelievable.
Well, I've been watching a lot of Justice League on Netflix, animated series on Netflix recently, and it's amazing to me how much better the animation of early 2000s looks compared to now.
Yeah, we're literally talking now, like what they're putting out now. Yeah, remember when we were doing the watch-alongs? How I was like, damn, this is hard to believe. This is early 2000s, and it looks better than what they're producing at the moment. Way better. Yeah, see, the new shit sucks. I watched War Planet. It was hard to watch because the animation was so terrible. I would love to see Crisis on Infinite Earths presented with really good animation, but I know it's not gonna be. Yeah, it's coloring book level. The cheapest freaking drawings you can get.
Well, here's the concerns about Crisis on Infinite Earths. Supposedly, they're going to go back to the Batman the Animated Series, the DCAU, and it's something Kevin Conroy voiced before he died, and seeing that animation, seeing it's supposed to be Batman the Animated Series, and seeing that animation butchered.
Oh, like they're going to try to do that style, but with their... Oh, no, yeah, that's not fun.
So... not looking forward to that. I hope it's good because it's, that's Kevin Conroy's last time as Batman, and I don't want that to be the Suicide Squad game, personally, but...
I haven't even played that or know it, so I wouldn't even know. I heard about it.
Neither have I. I've seen clips that were meh, but that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. But so,
I'll wait till it's like discount lane. Then I might get it.
Fair enough. Same thing with me when I get through some of these other video games. Before we move on to the next topic, I guess to perfectly transition us there, what was it like having you like all these Zack Snyder movies, DC movies, and seeing the rest of the world just shitting on it, and maybe you have friends, who just kind of follow the internet, or what was that like?
It's annoying because I know these were good movies, and I know a lot of it was just dogpile culture, which is like internet culture, everybody says this is bad, I'm going to jump on it too, and it just becomes a dog pile. They don't even know what they're talking about at a certain point. It's just people dogpiling because they want to dogpile on something. You see it happen all the time when a celebrity does a misstep or something like that, everybody just dogpiles on them to the point where it's not even about what they did anymore. It's just about insulting them or knocking it down. So that was very frustrating. I was one of the ones saying, no, BBS is really good. You should, see it. It's not, I'd always say it's not your typical popcorn movie. You may have to think a little when you're watching it. And I think, there might be resistance to that for some people because, they don't want to think. They just want to go in and see, wow, explosions and cool superhero action. They don't want to have a deep, plot twist and another plot twist, a plot twist on plot twist, a backstab betrayal here and this and that, I don't know. But still, I think think it's a great movie. So it was very frustrating to see this happening to these films.
Yeah, and I think I think there's a lot of people who just kind of follow the internet. They just listen to critics and
Yeah.
without putting any thought with it themselves, and it's ridiculous. And so the reason I asked this because this transitions us perfectly to the next topic. What was it like first in encompassing yourself in SylNation and seeing like-minded people finally, like-minded people who like the Snyderverse?
Yeah, that was great because most of the time it was always people ragging on him, and then I finally found on Syl's channel, it was someone who actually liked it, and then started meeting more people in the chat who liked it too. So I wasn't having to sit here and listen to people insult something I love all the time. So yeah, it was great to get acclimated into Syl's channel and the chat, basically, and talking and meeting everyone. And, just chatting it up, being myself, and, just saying what I really think. And I guess Mikey took a liking to it, and, and maybe you too made us all characters in his, what would have been his, awesome comic, which I can't say that he did get it out, but even going further, beyond issue 2, if
Technically.
yeah. And then the cool table being founded was excellent. That was, speak of the devil, right when I said it, I see Skywalker pop up. That's awesome. So that was Skywalker, put the cool table together. That was him. He, just picked the ones he wanted to be in the cool table, which was, me, Leon, and Austin, and of course him. So that was fun. We were like raising hell and pushing back on everyone that was, against SylNation or, the Snyderverse. And then the Syndicate network was basically just the umbrella that encompassed all of it. Like that. How can I say? Correct me if I'm wrong, Sky, but that's like the main company, and everybody else like SylNation, MikeyVerse, were all the different departments inside the main umbrella of the company, the Syndicate network, the TSN.
Exactly. I think that's how Austin explained it to me too in the interview I had with him. So I guess my question is, what was it like first seeing Mikey Sun on YouTube and seeing him actually give you hope for DC?
Are you talking like when SylNation or
Yeah,
Cell?
like on SylNation when he
with Mikey and his scoops and all that. That was great. It was, of course you're gonna want to see more of what you think's great. So Mikey was pretty much Mikey. I remember when Mikey said they were going to release the Snyder cut. And then it happened. He was the first one to say, no, it's happening. They're going to put it out.
He just didn't care at the time.
Nah, he wasn't even a Snyder fan. It was just a scoop to him until he actually watched. I think he said it was the Snyder cut that he watched, and then it all clicked, and he came back and watched everything else again, and it all clicked together.
Well, also BVS Ultimate Edition too.
Yeah,
that was another. So he converted to the good side.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna tell someone to watch BVS, it's gonna be the Ultimate Edition, because then there's no gaps or anything. It does explain everything 100%. You still have to think, but it shows more of the backgrounds of the actions and things and all that were kind of vital to the story. Now that's like unlike Dawn of the Dead, you could go either cut. You're still getting to meet the same movie pretty much. Ultimate Edition, you're getting way more of the backstory of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's some loved ones I almost kind of want to tell to not watch BVS on Netflix, and I know it's hard because on one hand I want Netflix to get that engagement, but on the other hand I don't want that version to be people's first experience to BVS, because even though I like the theatrical version, after seeing the Ultimate Edition, there's no reason to watch the theatrical version again.
It's true. I mean, it's hard to to go back. I'm not gonna say inferior because that's not the right word, but incomplete version when you have the complete version now available to you.
Basically, I think of it like this: lobster without butter. That's the theatrical version. It's just butterless lobster.
That's a good idea.
Which actually,
It's like the V6 Challenger, but then when you get into Hellcat V8, that's your Ultimate Edition. That's the one you're gonna be like, whoa, now I see the difference here. For all you car enthusiasts, you'll get that reference. It's a world of difference.
Flew over my head, but I'm sure there's some of the audience who totally understood that reference.
Right on.
And actually, that's one thing I love about SylNation, and we'll get more to that in a later topic, but is that we have our same interests like DC, but we also have our own individual interest either, and I think that's one thing that makes SylNation really great.
Yeah, we're not like some freaking zombies where we all have to, abide to one certain thing, and everybody in this community has their own lives, their own ideals, their own way. It's just the main thing that we all draw together to, like for the most part, is restore. I always say that selling the Snyderverse at this point. That's the main thing that we want. We want to get it continued. And that's why we're doing the whole Cell movement, the whole SellZSJL, the Netflix, SellSnyderVerseToNetflix. Just makes sense.
Yeah, and if you notice, we're both wearing Cell shirts.
Yeah,
hold on, let me.
Noel Flores did this one. Yep, look at that. That's really good art too, man. That's great.
And I got this came in yesterday.
That's the latest design. Look at you, man.
Yep, by the good Austin. And hold on, let me just turn around real quick. Let me know if you can see the design.
You're kind of mooning the camera. You need to duck down a little. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, that's the back design.
Back Dance Thoughts does not intend to do stuff like that, FYI.
It wasn't too bad. Woo! Take that.
Much love, Skywalker.
Yeah, we love Skywalker.
Speaking of Skywalker, then, well, how did he approach you about joining the Cool Table exactly?
I remember the old Necron brain. I think he just sent a message to all of us and invited us to a chat, wasn't it, Sky? Like a video link chat, and he just kind of told all of us on the Cool Table what you wanted to do, and we were all for it. We were like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool, let's do it. And I do remember, it was the ops that gave us the ideal to call it gave Sky the ideal to call it the Cool Table, because they're like, oh, we're not invited to the Cool Table, I guess. So, and I remember, I think Sky took it from them. It's like, oh, I guess we're the Cool Table then. Correct me if I'm wrong. Huh?
The ops named the Cool Table then.
I think it was inspired by that comment, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but they said something like, oh, we're not, invited to the Cool Table or something like that. And this guy twisted it on him and said, all right, here we go. We are the Cool Table. You said it yourself. So yeah, I think he messaged us, and then we all just linked up and started doing it. And of course, Austin was the graphics guy, so he started doing all the graphics and the looks of the intros and and stuff like that for everyone.
Like the one you saw.
The cool kids. That's what it was. They called us the cool kids.
So still influenced a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I definitely know Austin does those intros, as you saw from my stream, from the intro and the background that you see here, and the shirt.
Yeah, Austin, very talented with the graphics, the layouts, and all that, intros, editing. Shout out to Austin.
Yep, shout him out. Shout out to that interview that I had with him the day before Cell on Trending Event Eve.
That's right. Very cool. Ow.
So, was the Cool Table being on there, was that what inspired you to do your own YouTube channel, or were you already kind of doing your own YouTube channel beforehand?
The only thing I'd done, like, I had my channel just like to upload videos of like my band and songs, but I wasn't like going live or coming out on it. And then I was kind of just starting like going on my friends' channels, like Jamming Out All Badass and Death Metal Podcast, coming out as a guest, but not like I didn't officially start my channel. And then Mr. Skywalker was the one that said, you need to do a channel. Like, you actually need to dedicate and start doing shows and doing that, And I think that was kind of like told to all the members of the Cool Table is, to do your channels, so everyone can get out there more, right? Makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. Branch.
So, literally, hell yeah, Justin, that's the unholy trinity. Witching Hour, Jamming Out All Badass, Death Metal Podcast. So that's over on the metal side of things. And Sky was the one that told Necron really to get on YouTube more, so you can blame Skywalker. Is why I'm more on YouTube now, which is actually a great thing because it ended up pretty fucking awesome for me. I'm
happy to blame Skywalker.
Gotta blame Skywalker. He knew what he was doing.
So one thing I love about your YouTube channel is that it's kind of like what I said before, is that we have interests that we have in common, and that we have interests that are completely different from one another. But so I want to kind of get into this a little bit, your background for music, and so I'm just gonna warn you right now. I mean, music, yes, I know, but metalhead, there's probably a lot of terminology I'm probably going to get wrong, so I apologize in advance. So, I guess, how long were you into, like, this stuff, to music and metal rock?
Heavy metal probably since, like, 1982, when I was 12. It was, like, when I really started getting into music. There you go. I was, just, and you gotta remember too, this is, early 80s. Heavy metal was just about to explode in America. So it was like, not underground, like it's like, I mean, metal's big now too, but they're, like in the 80s, it was a different type of thing. It was heavy metal, not like, death metal, black metal, none of that was there. So heavy metal was about to blow up in the U.S., and in my city, San Antonio, I found, had like a rock station here. And I, as you found out these things as you get older and you do research, the station was called KISS, and it still is a rock station. But back then, it was on the cutting edge because I didn't notice, but they used to call San Antonio the heavy metal capital of the world back in the 80s. Because we were we were a test market for heavy metal bands and music.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so anything new coming out metal, it would go like the KISS and get pumped. And it also is because it sold well here. So they knew if they could do well in San Antonio, then the rest of the country would hopefully follow suit. So they would have tried to bring a lot of heavy metal, and like Judas Priest and Riot and Iron Maiden, all them would be pushed way back in the early 80s here in San Antonio. So, because I didn't notice, but I would look, like, I would go to arena concerts with, Iron Maiden or the Scorpions, Motley Crue. And I looked, later on, like, I was like, look at the tours. They were mostly playing clubs on these tours, big clubs. But when they got to San Antonio, especially in the early ages, in the early 80s, they could fill up the Coliseum, the arena. So that shows you the different, like, say a band like I saw, like Saxon, is I would say German, an English new wave British heavy metal band. They were always doing big clubs, but when they got to San Antonio, they could actually sell out the freaking Hemisphere Arena, like where the Spurs played, back in the day and all that. Like, I think it was like a 17,000, seat arena. So yeah, so I was getting, loving it. I had no idea what that was. It was all marketing. But I love metal music. So yeah, I started, wanting to be like a little Ozzy Osbourne. Started growing my hair, wearing, the little spikes and my metal shirts and my Harley shirts and my denim vest, and I had, I was. I ain't gonna lie, I was a heavy metal juvenile delinquent, and as of course I got older, I got into more heavier stuff and partying more and just doing it. Something like Justin probably knows and Aaron knows, what it's like to be a heavy metal juvenile delinquent, when you're younger, especially in the 80s, man. It was fun because since heavy metal was more mainstream back then, the girls were into it more, so there was always like girls into metal and all that, and it wasn't like broken up. It wasn't like broken up by like now, you got all these subgenres. It was just metal. What ruined metal is it got too commercial and all the glam stuff started ruining it. Like, the Motley Crue went like super glam, and then you got Poison and Cinderella and all these bands, and that kind of like split the whole scene up because some guys still want to be like, fuck that. I'm sorry my language, but I'm not gonna, be some glam. Fine. I'm not gonna be some glam dude. I'm a metalhead. I want real metal. Yeah, see, heavy metal was heavy metal. So, but prior to that, yeah, it was just metal. So we would go to parties and you'd blast heavy metal on the stereo, and, have a good time and raise hell, pull pranks, and or like you would have some older friends, and so it was like early 80s still, so like everybody was still like could get like a muscle car pretty cheap compared really like to nowadays, like a 60s or 70s, early 70s. So we'd always, like, my friend would have like Mustangs and or end up coming up with a Challenger from the 70s, and we put like killer stereos in them and just blast heavy metal and go out and raise hell, dude. It was fun. And then I started playing guitar, and got somewhat decent at it. I could tune it and started playing in a band. And then when I started playing in bands, I was wanting to play like more extreme stuff, so I got into hardcore punk. And I never did like the mohawk or shaved head thing, but I wanted to play fast, like really fast, and the hardcore stuff was fast first before metal caught on to the speed of hardcore. So I liked like crossover bands like Deer Eye and Cryptic Slaughter, Attitude Adjustment, that like they were kind of like metal and punk at the same time, and that's why they called it crossover. You kind of have like the metal heaviness with the punk rock speed and attitude. Hey, what's up, guitar? Good to see you, bro. And that's when and here's another thing, Bat Dan, you didn't have to be like a freaking virtuoso to play that type of stuff, because it's kind of, just fast. And I was never like a guitar virtuoso. So I was playing fast and with aggression with my first band, Cerebral Distortion, which was definitely a hardcore punk metal crossover band. I think I was maybe like 15, 16 when I started that band with my friends.
Really?
And I could go through the whole thing, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah, but still, that was really cool though. Like, really cool hearing about all that. I never knew that San Antonio was so big in heavy metal. That was really, really interesting.
In the 80s, yeah, for sure. It still is. It still has a good scene compared. Well, I'm talking like in 1986. I wasn't a ripper on guitar yet. But I could play a rhythm and keep pace, back then. But yeah, heavy metal, like Judas Priest concerts, Iron Maiden concerts, Kiss concerts, all that stuff was like a huge event. Hell, Rat, Twisted Sister, all those bands too would come and do like massive like shows at concerts. Motorhead, and then when like underground metal started taking off, you'd have like there was a famous show in San Antonio where Slayer from LA, the Slayer everybody knows, but in San Antonio we had our own band, San Antonio Slayer. That was like a legendary local band that was really good, like power metal band. And they played a show. It was going to be their last show, but they played a show called Slayer versus Slayer, where both Slayers played on the same show. And I went to, I think that was 84, and I went to that show. And that's when like I knew I wanted to do like music and play like metal, and stuff like that. That show was a big influence on me as just heavy metal, because I never got to see SA Slayer before that show, even though it was their last show, and they were just so kick ass. But then when Slayer came on, it was like a whole new thing back then. It was like metal revolution, like it was the very beginnings of thrash metal. So Slayer was basically like bringing this whole new style of music, out there to the world. And it was insanely heavy compared to, what else had been going on. And even like SA fans who love, of course we still love our SA Slayer. We love them. But we had to admit, LA Slayer, we called them LA Slayer back then to differentiate. We had to admit LA Slayer was pretty damn awesome and it's going to be the future of metal. Which they probably, they probably were at that moment. Yeah.
I love hearing about this. I really love hearing about other people's passion, hearing about how passionate you are about this. It's really great. And I think what I love is that you incorporated this into your YouTube channel, The Witching Hour. I guess how did you get started? Like, okay, first of all, what is The Witching Hour exactly for those of you who don't know?
Okay. Well, of course, the generic term, the witching hour, like 3 a.m., and all the witching and devil worship is supposed to happen and all that. And I was originally planning I was going to do the show at 3 a.m., but hell no. that wasn't good. I started with the typical, midnight. But for me, I mean, it's a play on words, but, the witching hour, and of course it never goes an hour. It's more like the witching marathon, 4 or 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours. But the witching hour is really this stuff I like regarding metal, and it can have like death metal, grindcore, black metal, speed metal, hardcore punk rock, all the just rebellious type of musics that I love, but the main thing being metal. Yeah, Justin though, he's a regular on the channel, so we end up going, sometimes I always end up going way longer than I ever anticipate. But if I feel the show's doing good and people in the chat are having fun with it, why stop? Just keep going. So I just can't do it no more.
I agree. If you got viewers, then you might as well. And you got nothing else to do, yeah, keep going.
And I think I'm not like Mr. Know-It-All, because there's like guys like Roy and Francisco who I think know a lot about underground music, more so than me. But I think I've done enough in death metal or just in metal in general that I could talk about it a little. Because I've been in other bands. I've been in Thornspawn, which is well, it's still active, but I'm not gonna get into all that. But at the time, an international black metal band. I've been in my band Hod, who was touring all the time and going out on road with international acts, and it took me all over the country, took me out of the country, and now I'm in a band called Pius Levis, which is it's kind of fun because I'm jamming with almost everyone that I was in with Thornspawn at the end, except one person, and it's like I feel at home too in that band as well, because it's like one guy, my friend Mike, Big Mike, we've been friends since high school. And we've been in and out of bands with each other, so we have a connection, And it's great jamming with someone like that. It just, when you play a riff, they know what you're doing. They know what type of drums you're gonna, want on it, because you just work together so long. It's like a team. When like when you have a team that's been together for years, I'm going to do Dallas Cowboys because that's my team. But, like when Emmett, Irving, and Aikman were playing together, it just becomes a machine, you know what to do. You just know. There's like, I know this dude's not going to come out like trying to do some lame riff after I just showed him this awesome riff. He's going to follow up with like about something that's going to flow right into it.
And I guess what made you start The Witching Hour? What really influenced you to start that on your channel?
Good question. I knew obviously I'm passionate about metal, so that was going to be my main lane, metal. And when in the 80s, I had a zine, and for you guys don't know what a zine is, they're like fan published fanzines. So, but it's short, we just call them zines. So I did my own fan published zine for metal and punk in the 80s called Morbid Death. So I kind of want to do like bring it back full circle, but doing, instead of like doing an actual printed zine, do what my passion was for an app, but do it on YouTube. And Morbid Death had like humor in it. It wasn't like super serious. You know, it had a lot of jokes and comedy in the magazine too. So I wanted to incorporate that into the Witching Hour too, because I see a lot of not all the metal channels, but some of the metal channels can be very stuffy. If you know what I mean, like they take it too serious. And
yeah.
And I get, you know, you do have to take metal, especially like you know, death metal and black metal serious, but it doesn't mean that you still can't have a good time with it. And that's why I think like me, me, Roy, and Francisco is like, we're serious, but we're not so serious where it's stuffy, you know, and we still have jokes and you can still have laughs on the show. We don't like, yeah, gatekeeping matters, but have fun. That's funny enough. That's a good way of saying it, because you know, we're not, you know, like, oh, we're elite, and you know, and if you don't know this band, you're a poser, and you know, blah 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 blah. And there's, you know, there's plenty of channels who act like that. We're not going to do that, you know. We're just going to be like, hey, you know, welcome to the show. Don't be a dick, and if you enjoy it, you know, go check out these bands and support them. That's basically, you know, the message to my chatters.
I love that you're doing that on your channel, though, is that you're really using your channel to really show your interest in this stuff, and like as you said, like trying to bring what metal rock should be, just something that's enjoyable at the end of the day, not by not taking it seriously. And that's how people should be about their stuff. It's like, I mean, look at how we are with DC Comics and like superhero stuff. I mean, we always take the stuff so seriously, and we're like arguing with each other. We're bitching at each other, and it just shows, what this really shows is that no matter what the interest is, no matter what the passion is, fandoms of anything there's gonna be that.
Oh yeah,
between different people. It's not exclusive to Zack Snyder.
And I mean, it goes to, I think it's safe to say it goes to any type of fandom, you know. And some people are passionate, and some people get a little overly passionate, and they kind of lose sense of what it's all about, you know. Like, is it really that important that, you know, I don't know, that Obi-Wan Kenobi fought Darth Vader prior to, you know, this, you know, I get, you know, the fucking people getting mad about it, but it shouldn't ruin your day. You know what I mean? Like, once you get irritated and you watch it, you should be able to move on and maybe have a discussion about it, but not to the point where you're mad and then you're going to be mad about it when you go to bed. You know, I'm just like, that's not probably healthy. And, you know, probably not good for your blood pressure and, you know, your stress levels. And like,
yeah, I've been bad about that with DC.
I know, Bat Dan, but you know, but talking about it too with people who actually enjoy it instead of fighting with people who don't is probably more enjoyable, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I love SylNation. Like, I'd much rather talk about Snyder with you guys than Snyder with people who don't like it.
Like Justin said, in the end, it's fiction. You know, it's not life and death. You know, it is fiction. Oh, but I mean, and it's also multi-billion-dollar properties too, and that's where, you know, a lot of funny business comes into all that stuff. You know, like IPs and things like that. But for music, you know, I just want, you know, and I know, you know, some people get scared with the whole, you know, devil imagery and this and that, you know, with metal and some of the super underground bands. But here's the thing, you don't have to listen to it if that's not your cup of tea, you know. But if you like it and you enjoyed the riffs and all that, you can jam out to it too. We're just, you know, playing jams we like. So I don't understand why some channels attack other channels. Like, I see it in the metal community because, you know, oh, this dude's a poser because he liked this band or this band, you know, or I think all that stuff's dumb. And when I know we still call people posers on the channel, but you know, a lot of times now it's just like we're busting each other's balls, you know, that's what we do, you know, that's what, you know, you should do as a metalhead, you know, you can't be taking it so serious. Of course you're going to have a poser moment. You can't know every damn band that ever existed. So, you know, like when someone says, oh, I haven't heard that, and we'll go, oh, poser, but it's this ball busting, you know, it's not like, but some people literally take it like they don't get it. Yeah, Francisco has the poser alert for a reason. It's always a laugh when he does it. He has like if you say something posery or whatever, he has a drop and it's a poser alert and it has our buddy Fraser's face on it and it's very loud. It goes bah! It's great. It's like, ah, damn it, I got a poser alert. And two, and that also another thing. Bringing that, I'm glad you bring it up because it made me think of something. If you're gonna say you're a metalhead or a punker or a hardcore dude, then you should be able to have a thick skin. Because society usually doesn't like these type of people. So if you can't take a little ball busting from some fellow metalheads or whatever, you're in for a tough time. Because that's what you got to have some thick skin. You can't let it get to you. And and I'm not saying things don't ever bug me. Of course, I get mad and sometimes overreact to something. I'm guilty of it too. But then you just gotta remember, hey man, you gotta have thick skin. Be proud of what you're into, even if it is poser music and you like the most posery bands. But one thing is you gotta be true to what you like. Not like what the crowd likes or what people are telling you to like. If you really like it, man, stay true to it. Because in the end, to me, the real poser is the one who's pretending to like this stuff, but doesn't really likes, lame music. But they act like, they're into the heavy. That's a real poser. I don't know why I brought that up, but that's how I just wanted to get that out there.
Nope, that's definitely okay. I like that. I like that you did bring that up. I love hearing how you're passionate about this stuff. It's really great. I love hearing about other people's passions, hearing about stuff that maybe I'm not necessarily into myself, but hearing how passionate other people are about it. It shows again, it's what I said earlier. It shows what a great community we are. Is that we have our common Snyder interest, but with Austin, he loves sports as well.
Yeah.
He's really big on sports, and then
That's his thing.
And then you with music, and metal rock. I love that. I love seeing the different stuff. And I'm actually in a community band myself. I actually used to be in two, but I dropped one to make more time for YouTube. But not metal stuff, like a concert band. I play.
Yeah, I've seen your videos, but you're playing music regardless. It's a passion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something. And it's just interesting seeing what people have in common. In that you and me, and we both maybe different genres of music, but we both like music, and I think that's really cool.
I too, as I'm obviously older now. I definitely can appreciate other forms of music because I know what goes into performing and actually pulling off something at a performance that can be difficult. And as a musician, oh damn, that that's hard to do. Kudos to that person for being able to play that. So I am not. I used to be super close-minded back then. It was bad, but nah, not anymore.
Yeah, there's a piece in band that we're working on right now, the Hounds of Spring, and oh my god, it is a nightmare. Just trying to stay on tempo, trying to make sure I don't say too much because it's possible that my band director's watching this stream right now, or he'll catch this on. He's watching some of this stuff, so I better be careful about what I say.
Yeah.
But
and also too, being a Snyderverse fan, if you're really gonna be one, you're gonna have to have some thick skin because they come at you. Yeah. And that's why, on Twitter, it doesn't even really bother me much when I hear all that stuff because being in bands and all that, I'm used to trolls and people talking shit and this and that, and all I learned, most of it is just bullshit. They ain't gonna do nothing. They're just doing it because they can get away with it on Twitter. But in the real world, it doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean a thing. It's all just in the ether of the internet. But when you go out on the streets, I'll make my comparison. It's I'm sure those kids who are talking trash to Cam Newton talk a lot of trash on Twitter too, and they thought they could go up to Cam Newton and talk trash, and they found out what the real world does. It doesn't back down, and you get manhandled by something sometimes bigger and stronger than you, and you should have just kept your mouth shut. That's real life.
Yep. So and you I can't say that word, anonymity behind a computer screen or a phone
Yeah.
screen or behind
Sometimes
any type of
maybe they
screen.
lost. They got confused. They didn't realize they were having that computer screen protection, and they found out. People actually do react in the real world.
Exactly, and
Okay. Yeah.
very, very great quote. Very, very great quote. Because at the end of the day, whatever music you're passionate about, you should play. And I think that just like El Necron with metal rock, heavy metal. It's I really great. And I love your passion with this, and that's what I love about your YouTube channel is that you have different passions on it. You have your metal passion, and you also have your horror and comic book passion as well. So
Yep.
I want to talk about Pandora's box next. So I want to kind of
Sure.
start because you started this show with Mikey Sutton. I guess can you? And again, this will make it a little tearjerker, but can you tell me what like Mikey Sutton meant to you, like how he was like impacted your life?
Mikey impacted my life in a sense that he was one of the people who just wanted to see the best for everyone. He didn't have any, how can I say, he didn't have, I started to put in words, but I'm going to try to. He didn't have like ill will or, anything. He really was a guy who just wanted to see the best for everyone and include all his friends in his success too. And that's a very unique and very rare type of personality in today's society. Like of course he had his interests, but his self-interest was also the interest of like making sure his friends were taken along for a ride as well. Remember, he always say, "High tide raises all ships."
Yep, that was a
And
great quote.
and it was this, he really believed in that, and you could see it like the way that he would talk, and then like just talking with Mikey backstage, you could tell he really meant that type of thing, and I just thought it was cool to know someone who was really that genuine about that type of attitude. Or like making, helping everyone else out too, or making everyone else have their part in his success, because he didn't have to do that.
Oh, not at all.
He didn't have to, put us, the SylNation community in his comic, and would, in his plans to, incorporate us into Netflix, or or shows of, whatever that came down the pike. Who knows, what he had planned. But,
The fact that he was doing it, and
and let me just say one other thing. Since me and Mikey
yeah,
were, pretty much from the same age group, we had a lot in common because we could talk about geek stuff from the 70s and 80s. And Mikey would know exactly what I was talking about. Like it was cool. I was like, hey Mikey, you remember this? And he goes, oh yeah, that was and the artist was blah blah blah, and I knew the writer. And I'd be like, damn, dude, this dude is like, he's like a comic book encyclopedia.
this actually transitions us perfectly. I just want to say real quick and there's earlier I kind of said 3 issues instead of 2 because, as some people don't know, Mikey Sutton turned in the script for issue 3 before he died, so that one will be pure. That'll be the last pure Mikey Sutton written Dreamwalker comic book. And I think, were you cameoed in that one? I wanted to ask. Were you supposed to cameo?
I think I was supposed to be a cameo. I think the whole the plan was, as far as I remember, was the whole cool table, except maybe Skywalker wasn't going to be revealed because Sky had a bigger art that was going to happen. But he told me I was going to be in it. Yeah.
Because I know I was issue 6, I think was when I was supposed to be introduced, so...
Yeah, I think I was just going to be, like, he was going to have a whole cast of, like a splash page of all the monsters or whatever, and Necron was going to be in there as well.
Yeah, and like what you said about how you and Mikey have that passion, like that shared passion, I guess, is this kind of like what started Pandora's box?
Mikey asked me if I wanted to do a retro type show with him, because he knew, you know, we were about the same age, and it all started because I would send Mikey little pictures or things from, you know, old stuff, you know, and he would, you know, what's up and would laugh. So it was all Mikey's brainstorm to start Pandora's Box, and Mikey knew that we had to get Retro Nerd Girl on there too. He wanted her to be a part of it. So, you know, Mikey always had these master plans in the back of his head. And I agree with that. Especially, like, in the 80s, Metal and comics, I would, like, put on Metal and read my Conan the Barbarians. It was the Savage Sword of Conan from Marvel, and it would just work perfect. You know, because metal music is very, you know, especially power metal from the early 80s is very fantasy-driven type, you know, lyrics like with barbarians or Vikings and wizards and, you know, and all that stuff. So perfect to go along with, especially back then. But getting back to Pandora's Box, so yeah, Mikey was the one who put it all together. He came up with the themes of the shows and what to talk about. So, and I was just like, let's do it. You know, let's do it, Mikey. Let's do it.
And I love that show because I love that you have another interest that you guys are passionate about. I know you also do some like DC Zack Snyder stuff on occasion, but mostly
Yeah.
you guys kind of stuck to that horror 80s like retro, which again obviously why you got retro nerd girl.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
guess
it just made sense. He wanted, you know, Retro Nerd Girl, and we asked her, and she was down. She said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I was very excited because I was a fan of Retro's channel even before, you know, she came on, because she covered all type of, you know, cult movies and things like that, or, you know, retro. Exactly. Rest in peace, Mikey Sutton. She covered all that on her channel, so I was like kind of excited to have her on because, you know, the shit I liked too. So it made sense. And now I know I do Pandora's Box every once in a while, and it isn't always retro stuff, but I still see it as in the spirit of what Mikey had, you know, started on there. Definitely. Retro is really retro. Exactly.
That's how you honor people, though. You continue doing the stuff that you love doing with them, and I'm glad that you found a way to continue doing Pandora's Box after Mikey Sutton died, because if you didn't, honestly, I think Mikey Sutton would come down and haunt you and tell
I
you.
think so too. Yeah. You know, he showed us, you know, basically the ropes, and it's on us now. Everyone, you know, who is a part of SylNation, especially this early group that was, you know, going to be heavily involved in Dreamwalker.
Yeah.
It's really on us, you know, the try to make everything we do a success, just in the honor of Mikey Sutton's memory. So that's how I feel about that, you know. MikeyVerse forever.
Exactly. MikeyVerse forever. And it's what I want to remind people. I say this every show. Bat Dan's interviews, this relaunch series, it's an honor to Mikey Sutton, because when I interviewed him for my birthday stream about Dreamwalker, he told me he liked my interviewing skills. And that's why I want to continue doing this show, because it's the best way I can honor him.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Bat Dan. And Mikey was always honest, you know. He wouldn't tell people things like that if he didn't believe it and feel it was, you know. Mikey didn't blow smoke up your ass about something like that. Let me just say that.
No. He was honest about how he was always honest, and he gave us hope. He told us the good news when it was good. He told us the bad news when it was bad, and again, it's just his presence. No matter what, his presence will always be felt.
And he always had a way, even if it was bad news, you still had a good time and laughed. You know, he always still find ways to make it enjoyable.
Exactly. So, Mikey Sutton, again, this one's for you. And as we always say, thank you for everything you've done for us.
Big part of what goes on around here.
And, you know, and really, in some ways, this is a good way to honor Mikey Sutton, too, is as minor as it sounds, hold on, let's stream. There we are. SellZSJLToNetflix. This was another campaign that Mikey Sutton believed in. When Skywalker mentioned it, Mikey Sutton believed in this campaign and
He did.
gave us
He
hope.
really did. I mean, I'm not going to give away Mikey's secrets, but Mikey really did have inside info to things. Mikey really did hear things, and by his scoops, if you followed them, it's true. You know, the majority of them happened, and the ones that didn't happen were going to happen, but something changed at the studio where it didn't. You know, they didn't go forth with whatever was the plan. You know, so
Tom Holland confirmed Craven.
yeah, there's another one that this came out. Oh, everyone's talking about was Sons of Darkness now. Mikey was talking about that on Pandora's Box, the Sons of Darkness movie crossover with all the characters. You're hearing about that now. Mikey already knew all that. He talked about it on the show. Go back and look. And when you see the next Halloween special on Disney Plus, it's going to be Man-Thing. Mikey scooped that, and there's going to be a Tomb of Dracula one eventually. And when that happens, yes, Midnight Suns, the Marvel with who's in there? You got Ghost Rider, like Punisher, Blade. You know, all the darker characters of the Marvel universe. Yeah, they plan on making a movie, and Mikey scooped that like last year on my channel when we started doing that, Ghost Riders. So yeah,
I lose track of where Mikey scoops everything, honestly, because he scoops them so many. He scooped them so many channels. I'm like, was it Night Shift? Was it Pandora's Box? Was it Silstream?
Who knows? You know, but he made the rounds sometimes with the scoops, but that's all fine. But yeah, Mikey had inside info for the Cell movement, and you'd be amazed at some of the info Mikey had inside info and traction to. But when he heard the SellZSJLToNetflix, SellSnyderVerseToNetflix plan, he was like, "This is a damn good idea, and it makes sense, and it still makes sense to this day because you would just make everyone happy, except one person, but everyone else would be happy." But he also got the inside scoop, how Netflix was viewing it, and he told us backstage, when you see all the DCEU movies appear on Netflix, that's a big sign that things are going that way, and he told us that, and then lo and behold, it happened. And then he said, once you see ZSJL on Netflix, he goes, it's done deal. It's only a matter of time. There you go. I knew him. Brucifer would know the exact lineup.
So I know you can't spoil too much stuff that Mikey's told you backstage, but I guess since this was already confirmed, since this was already public now, I'm kind of curious now. Did he say anything about Scott Stuber's comments? So was anything like when Scott Stuber said the more Zack the better? Did this confirm anything that Mikey Sutton said to you prior to?
Yeah. He said Netflix was very interested. Way back. And that they already knew about the movement. They were very aware of what was going on.
And if he could see today, the more Zack, the better.
Mm-hmm. He had some privy information, man, back then. And I guess it's safe to say now because it's all public, so.
Yeah. And I guess one more question in terms of Mikey Sutton. Any of the stuff that he's told you backstage, is there any of the stuff you plan on releasing to the public once it's confirmed?
I mean, I would prefer like some of the stuff like Skywalker to actually, release it more than, say me or something. Maybe if it's like Midnight Sun stuff, where he scooped on
I
my
meant you,
channel.
like, generally, not necessarily you specifically, but, like, the cool table you.
I can say now that if you liked Mikey Sutton on stream, he was even cooler backstage. The dude was cool. So, if you liked his personality, just like watching him, he was even a funnier and cooler dude. Like, 'cause he was even more enchained backstage, and not that he was like vulgar or no, he was just like, it was even next level cooler than than he was on stream, because he could loosen up more. He didn't have to worry about what he had to say, or you're not on stream, whatever.
Or the backstage, or when he would do stuff on stream, but, like, message you on a DM while you were live. That was...
Yeah, he was notorious in doing that to Skywalker. Skywalker trying to
yeah.
do a show, and Mikey's over there doing bombs on messages. And Skywalker's like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
Story time was great, Qatar. I remember when Syl was like blowing up and like getting newer fans, and that they weren't used to story time. And he brought back story time that one time, and you could tell the newer people were like in shock of what's going on. And I was loving it, because I was like, oh, these people don't know what story time is. That was a great show. And Syl's just like, and Mikey just knows what he's doing too. That was a classic episode, man.
Okay. That was great. And so now I kind of want to know, what was your reaction when you first heard of Sel?
My first reaction, I was like, no way in hell James Gunn's going to let this happen. That was my first reaction. Yeah, story time on Scoop Center. You got it, Austin. People just, what am I listening to? Oh my God. Mikey's just giggling, telling the story. It was great, man. Mikey was a damn punk rocker. He didn't care. I was like, there's no way, that James Gunn's going to want this to happen, because he didn't want to get outshined. And the more I listened to Sky, because I honestly, I didn't know about it till we were on stream. I think only him and Leon conversed about the whole message. So I was like, there's no way, James Gunn is going to let this go down. Because obviously he still doesn't want it to happen, right? So anyway, and then, they explain things, and then, you're starting to hear like, well, actually he has no control over if this gets licensed or not, because it's over his pay, his pay, whatever, pay rate. This is above him. But of course he's going to do everything he can to make sure it doesn't happen. But in the end, it is above his pay rate. He's just the DC co-head. He's not an owner of Warner Brothers. He doesn't make financial decisions for a company. Pay grade, thank you. Forget my terms. So when you started hearing that, and then you're like, well, damn, that's right, Because my knee-jerk reaction was, there's no way Gunn's going to let this happen. But in the end, it's really not in Gunn's hands. He can try to influence, but he doesn't make the decision. It's, it's like Zaslav and, other people like that. And they want to, I know you're not listening, but if you are Zaslav, this does not hurt the brand. This actually raises the brand up. The more good DC product, just in general, is good for the overall brand. Look at your real sales of these DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks. Look at all the real views that shut down your damn servers when it was released, that y'all couldn't handle it. This is success waiting to happen. You don't want to do it? Make your money. Make a deal with Netflix. I don't know how to make licensing deals. That's not my job, but I see them happening left and right. Don't tell people, and there's all these false narratives. Oh, they're not gonna, you gotta do Batman, Superman, Gotham City, the Batmobile. It's like, no, it's, how they try to come up with these ridiculous stories like why it can't be. It's like, you just licensed the whole Snyder IP. you know, that it covers everything that Snyder had and going forward. Yes, he even said it himself. Third parties add value to the DC brand. And what brand does everybody want to see? Bat Dan finished. What brand?
Oh,
You
the
know,
Snyderverse.
yes, that's the one your fans want to see finished the most. I mean, I'm not a hater on well, I probably am, but I'm just gonna say I'm not on his Superman lunacy. But you know, I honestly think this, if they announce this really frees up some people from not wanting to see this movie, giving it a chance because they're not feeling screwed.
Yes.
I know, right? You want to see
Yes.
this movie? Fucking license this shit already, man. Because we're not going to go see it until we get this. I'm not going to go see it. I'm sure you're not. I'm sure Austin, Qatar. I don't know about everybody else, but you know, the hardcore Snyder people feel like, why would I want to see this until I get what I want? And I guess, you know, oh, is that a ransom note? Not really. It's a reality note. You want people to see this movie, license out the Snyderverse, so we don't feel bad like we're supporting something that is holding back what we want to see. Because then I wouldn't feel bad. I'd be like, okay, you know, I got my Zack Snyder. If I want to see this movie, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But where I'm at right now, I'm not going to see it. Specifically because I'm not seeing the sequels.
Exactly. That's because here's the thing: people are going to compare Cavill to Cornsweat no matter what.
That's going to happen regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. If Gunn wants to erase our memories somehow, that's the only way that he would make this happen. And that's why I argued to James Gunn, if you're watching, not that we're engaging with you when we use the hashtags, but if you do happen to see this stuff, this actually helps you. If I'm just saying, if James Gunn were to facilitate sell, if he were to be like, tweet out the brand, tweet out the sell hashtags, and like, even though it's above his pay grade, he can certainly encourage it to happen. And if he were to do that, that would earn him some goodwill.
If he encouraged it to happen, I think it would happen way quicker than we expect. But he definitely ain't encouraging it. Yeah, see, like Austin, he ain't gonna see it. It's non-existent. But to a lot of other fans, Austin, they might give it a chance if they know we're getting our ZSJL sequels. Yeah. But I know where Austin's coming from because, you know, there's some entrenched feelings about certain things, and it makes sense. But that's just my thoughts on, you know, if they want to make the Superman lunacy, or I keep calling it lunacy, legacy thing, somewhat appealing. One of the best things you could do is do the whole sell thing to Netflix. Sell it. Like Zack said, sell it. Finish it up. You get rid of all this ill will and hard feelings towards you. And like you were saying, Cornsweat's going to be compared regardless. That's going to happen. Every Batman's compared. Superman's prior are compared. You can't, you know, this is silly, like to think, like if I do this and suppress this, then no one will think about it. That's crazy.
Exactly. And in terms of, I want to bring up your licensing comment too. WBD stocks are down. You really think that the DC brand really is that expensive to license right now?
No.
Not at all. And so now I mentioned backstage I had a prop to the show, and I showed this last week when I interviewed the good Austin. This shirt right here.
Yes.
Austin designed this.
Yes, he did.
But from my understanding, though, you had a part in getting the shirts out. What was that part exactly?
I stumbled into greatness, is what I did, Bat Dan. I was the guy who was just supposed to get the shirts up on Ink to the People. That was my job, you know. Austin design. Okay, Necron, we hand it off to you. Get them available on Ink to People. All right, cool. So there I go. You know, I email. We knew we might have a problem with a brand name. You know, with the word Netflix on the actual shirt.
Yep. which is not on here.
Yeah. So
Or let me.
so I emailed the main guy over at Ink to the People. Or I mean the main guy who does all the, emailing and whatever. One of the main guys, I'll say that. I don't know if he's the main guy, but he's up there. And I said, hey, we want to do this campaign to raise money for AFSP. And is this cool that we put this SellSnyderVerse to Netflix on here? And he was like, we work with Zack a lot, and they do a lot of great things. He goes, but let me email Zack's people to make sure if that's cool or not. And I was like, okay. He goes, well, what's the guy's name in the chat? Wes? I think, it's like, I think the guy's name was Wes. He's one of Zack's right-hand man. So he goes, I'm going to email Wes, and I'll let you know what they say. And I was like, oh shit, this is big now, because now we're like getting in direct contact with Zack's people about this campaign. They're going to know about it regardless, Yes, Wes. Thank you, Austin. And this could be a sink or swim moment, right? What if they told us, hell no, we don't want to be involved in anything like that? That kind of could have been crushing to it, right? It would have been like, whoa. So Wes emails this guy back. He gets back to us and tells us, take out Netflix, everything's cool. You can do it. So super excited, of course, Sky and the Cool Table were the first ones to find out that, hey, we got in contact with Zack's people and they approved the message. We just, for legal reasons, they didn't want to put Netflix on there, which I understand, things can get a little tricky with all that stuff. So that's how I believe, we got the first thumbs up from Zack's people, and they got awareness of our campaign. Was that, sure, directly with, and I believe Wes was the guy that when they went to Full Circle and all that, Sky and them were saying, like everybody would be chanting Wes, because everybody knew he was like Zack's guy, or does it like his right hand man or something like that. So yeah, man, that was a big moment for the Cell movement to know that we got approval of from Zack's people. And I'm sure it was Zack Snyder gave the final approval, like, hey, is it cool if they do this or not, Because Zack has a lot of high-profile stuff on Ink to the People prior.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Have a lot of
that
those
was,
shirts as well.
How it wasn't my intention, or anything to, like, have this go the way it did. It just the way it did. And I was just the guy, that happened to be there, right place at the right time. I was the one who emailed them just to see if it was cool. And the next thing I know, they're talking to Zack's people about it. It's a big moment of approval for the Cell campaign. That was like one of the first ones. Yeah.
That's really cool. The fact that Zack Snyder acknowledged the campaign. I remember Good Austin had mixed feelings. He was happy about it, but at the same time, for him, it was like, oh no, now I have to adjust the design of the show. Yeah,
I believe I emailed Austin, and he was changing it in his car on his lunch break or something on the phone. Was that right, Austin? You had to do it on the phone on your lunch break to get it, because we were also like getting under kind of like close to the announcement of everything, and I didn't think we were gonna have like any type of problems pop up. I honestly thought the Netflix thing would be not a big deal, but still best to check. Just you don't want to piss Zack off, so I was like, hey, we need to check before we go forward with it, just in case. It was the last day, right? We were doing it all last minute. Austin in the car on his lunch break, taking out the Netflix. It was great. But that's what's awesome about, like, it's funny about the Cool Table is, even under like all these crazy circumstances, we can all like get it together and pull it off. Even with wrenches being thrown in and this and that, we still like come through in the end. That's why I love Austin, Sky, and Leon. Cool dudes. Leon is the Batman. At 317, Leon's the Batman. He comes out when he's needed, just like Batman. So yeah, man, good stuff, good times, and that was legendary moment for the Cell movement, one of the first of many.
And I'm excited because I think there's a lot more to come. And I guess kind of a question for you, and you're gonna love this one. Let's say that Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery worked out a deal.
Okay.
They have ZSJL 2 and 3. They have the air cut and any other director's cut film movie you could want, we'll say too. And one additional project. Which is, if you get to pick, which one is it?
Oh, Batflick movie. Easily. I know a lot of people want Man of Steel 2, but no. For me, Superman got his 2 movies. Batflick needs his movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he got Superman got his 1 movie and his arc completed.
He'll get his arc, yeah.
Whereas Batman doesn't have a solo movie. Plus, you need to see that scene in ZSJL with Deathstroke and Lex Luthor pay off.
Yes. I mean, it was supposed to be the next movie.
Yeah.
It was going to be the next movie. Got to see it, man. Got to get the Batflick movie. I mean, I know a lot of people say BBS is a Batman movie. It is and it isn't. It's not a solo movie for either character. It's a movie with both of them in it. And I just want to see a solo Batflick movie with the best damn Batman the silver screen has ever put up on screen. He deserves his own movie.
Yeah, 100%. And if it's on Netflix, so be it. And
I don't care. I don't care. I just want to see it.
And we know that Ben Affleck is directing a Netflix movie, isn't he?
Yep.
With Matt Damon. What's that called again?
I don't even remember, but I'm sure it's going to be kick-ass.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just read that The Accountant 2 is going straight to Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Interesting how these poor streamers can afford a big actor like Ben Affleck. That's really interesting.
No, and don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I don't want Man of Steel 2. Of course, I want the whole shebang. But the question was, if we could get one additional film, I mean, I gotta go with that Batflick movie. Batman's my favorite character first and foremost, and then Superman right after him for DC.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say.
Oh, you know who else directs on Netflix? Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Well, how convenient would that be?
Yeah, Rebel Moon.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna do a little rant here. Oh, but Dune Part 2 is the greatest, the best, the most cinematic, blah, 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 blah. Everybody loves it. And then, of course, that's going to cause everyone else to say great things about it. I hate this shit. Rebel Moon was pretty freaking good, and I cannot wait for a Rebel Moon Part 2. I'm more excited for a Rebel Moon Part 2 than Dune Part 2. Let me just put that out there. I watched the first Dune. I thought it was a cool sci-fi movie, but it was a little boring.
Yeah.
A little boring.
It was very boring.
Right? Rebel Moon was fast-paced, kick-ass stuff. I can't wait to see the R-rated cut, the true cut of it. And I bet you in the end, for me, I will probably end up liking the whole Rebel Moon arc more than Dune. And we only got less than 2 months. Less than 2 months. So everybody get your Dune out of your system because you got a short amount of time to get ready for the real sci-fi event of this year.
So I guess then we've had a trending event recently, 214. I guess what are your overall thoughts on the accomplishments of the 214 trending event this month?
Oh, you mean where we out-trended Superman Legacy?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, total success. Anytime we beat, and we do it consistently, because it's not what we want, it's what the streets want, and they want, more ZSJL. So I'm happy. It went well. I was out of town, so I couldn't do much with it, but I did get the shirts up in time to launch, the ones you're actually wearing right there, the new ones. So, and of course, Austin did too. He did a couple last minute adjustments again, but it came out looking way better. So good job there, Austin.
Really?
Yeah.
What last minute adjustment did he do?
The cube, the mother box, was a little too high.
This one,
yeah, and Austin fixed it, and it looks. I mean, until you see it on the shirt, how it's going to look, sometimes like, oh no, I need to make this a little better, and Austin did a quick change, and it does look way better. So again, Austin doing the last minute change, but making it look better. So I'm sorry, what was the damn question? Oh, the trending event. Yeah, man, and of course, Guy, put in a full day of watch-alongs, getting the word out to everyone. That was great. There you go. So worn like a badge of honor, you know it, bro. This guy is so passionate about this stuff, and everybody needs to recognize it's his baby, and we're lucky to have him as the spearhead of it all. So it comes up with great ideals. The whole cool table. Like, it's funny because I think I was like, one time we were saying, yeah, we need to make, instead of hashtags, we need some type of engagement event. And this guy was like, cartoons and cereal, or, came up. It's just how it all comes together. You know what I mean? It's awesome for everything. How everything just comes together for us. So, and then...
a circle.
Yeah, Because, I didn't come up with cartoons and cereal. I just said, we need them. I thought we just need them, hashtagging is awesome. But, companies like engagement. And remember, all the engagement, all of a sudden we were doing Justice League animated, and then that started trending on Netflix.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep. What was the other ones
The Batman, not the Matt Reeves, the animated series, the Batman.
Yeah, watch-alongs. We should do a watch-along engagement event. Yes, that's what it is. Thank you. Watch-along, like doing more engagement, showing that we were trying to show Netflix actual engagement, not just hashtagging. Hashtagging is great, but when companies see engagement, that's a whole different level.
Exactly. That's why I think the combination of the hashtags and the engagement is the perfect combination to really separate Cell from the other campaigns.
Yeah. And, and I'm not, releasing Snyder Cut was phenomenal. They did great things.
They succeeded.
They succeeded. They did what they're supposed to do. Restore did not. Restore did not succeed. So when something doesn't succeed, you kind of have to come up with a new game plan. And that's what Skywalker did. Came up with a new game plan. Instead of asking this company that obviously doesn't want to do this to keep doing something that they already told you no to 100 times, we'll take our message elsewhere. There you go.
I'm trying to pull this up. StreamYard is so slow sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes mine it lags, man. See? Yep. And then it all came together. So, yeah, and Austin came up with the cartoons and cereal. There you go. So
I guess
it's all a group effort, but Sky is the spearhead, and so is Leon, too. The double-sided spear, and everyone else is the in between, the freaking double-sided spear. All right.
No, I love it. It's a good analogy, and they really help. Again, and she said, spearhead this into into this big thing, and
There you go.
and I guess kind of to wrap this up, I guess are there any future plans for Cell? Any future engagement events or any future plans that you can talk about right now?
Sky's already talked on what 313 day. I think
18.
Yeah, yeah, he has stuff planned. Do I know it is? No, but he has things. He got something planned. So yeah, expect more.
Exactly, and thank you again for coming on, El Necron. I really enjoyed getting to learn more about you. You're part of Cell. You're all this metalhead stuff that I again, a lot was a foreign language to me, but it was still really interesting hearing about it. Just and then seeing the parallels between that and the DC fandom. That was really really cool to see, and really cool to hear about. And I really had a good time getting to learn about you, learn about your different passions. It was a really great time, and I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me on and showing interest in what I'm about and what I enjoy, and it's fun to talk about things you enjoy. So appreciate it having me on to do that, my friend. Had a good time.
Anytime, and thank you, Kingdom of Nerves. Just trying to make Mikey Sutton proud.
Ah, I like Lucifer. He's a good guy. Kingdom of Nerds.
So, I guess my question then is for you is, what do you have coming up on your channel?
What do I have? I don't even think I have anything planned. I'll do a witching hour soon, probably on Friday night. And I don't think I have any guests scheduled right now. I might have a special guest soon that we all know, but we're gonna bring them out of the comfort zone and have them be a guest on the witching hour. But I'll announce that later.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm gonna play underground music, old school death metal and black metal thrash, and some new stuff too. That's what I do. I mostly only play old grindcore. I don't like modern grindcore. I think it's a little silly. I'm just becoming an old man. Get off my grass. You're playing it wrong. It is what it is. And there'll be another Pandora's box soon. I think what I want to do is wait till Rebel Moon Part 2 comes out and do like I did last time with the smoke clear, and then have a discussion with Sky and Retro again.
Great. Looking forward to it. And guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to his channel. And I guess coming up on my channel is this Friday, I will be reviewing Guardians of Ga'Hoole. Ironically, you were talking about this earlier, the one you haven't seen. I will be reviewing it with the good Austin and Skywalker.
Oh, hell yeah. This is when? Friday?
Yep, this Friday. So if you have a chance to see, you can rent it on Vudu for $3.99. I saw it yesterday, and I'm gonna try to watch it again tomorrow to get a refresher, because I'm really excited for this discussion, because this is part of my Zack Snyder review series to hype up Rebel Moon Part 2. And it's funny because normally with the last two people, I put them on the spot. Hey, you want to review this movie with me? And with you,
oh yeah, I mean,
we kind of did it backwards.
I'll be down for Rebel Moon Part 2 though, if you want me on a panel, because I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll let you know. I'll definitely, when I get that scheduled, because hopefully, if things go right, I can do the spoiler-free and the spoiler review.
Yeah.
So
everyone, who has a channel, we gotta do our part to promote Rebel Moon, because they're doing so much to crush it and make sure it's not a success. Because Hollywood, in my opinion, Hollywood does not want Zack Snyder to be a success, and Netflix is not Hollywood. It's outside of Hollywood circles. That's why you're seeing so many bad reviews of it. They don't want directors having power like they have over at Netflix. It's a threat to the power structure.
Yeah.
We can get in all that crazy stuff, but that's true, Justin. Zack Snyder sends subtle images and messages of the Illuminati in his movies, and they don't like that stuff. So that's his crazy conspiracy theories that could or couldn't be true. But I do know in my heart that Hollywood does not want Rebel Moon to be a phenomenon, and it is. But you have to, as fans, talk about it on your channels to get the message out against the corporate machine that is sending out negative reviews and all that stuff that's been happening to the movie.
Exactly. Well said, Skywalker. Or Necron. Sorry about that. But
that's all good. We're the cool table.
And actually, one more review I'll be doing that I already have scheduled is with Zod Rider on the 5th of March, Tuesday. We'll be reviewing Army of Thieves. It'll be one of the two non-Zack Snyder directed movies I'll be reviewing for this series. The other being 300.
I love that movie. I thought it was a really cool heist movie.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was a great movie, and guys, subscribe to El Necron, and if you like this video, please
Yep.
like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes and interesting thoughts and great interviews such as these. El Necron, thank you again for coming on. Any final words?
Subscribe to my channel. Oh, there he is, Zod Rider. Hell yeah.
Speak of the devil, right at the last minute.
MikeyVerse for life. We are his spear.
We are the Mikey Sutton Spear,
Yes.
and have a bat-tastic day.